wanted to get on here and update you guys. I did, in fact, have a bunch of crap in my way. I did technically promise to, is this white streak in my hair? To update you guys before I went to Collegium. That didn't happen. I ended up working late, and then we left super duper early in the morning. On Friday, but yeah. Hi, how's it going, Scott? So yeah, Collegium went super well. I met some awesome new people. I have a new Landsknecht crush. Landsknecht, whatever, however you want to pronounce it, depending on your German pronunciation. I got to do my first cut and thrust official practice, borrowing a little bit of gear. But I'm kind of newly invigorated to get my crap together, basically. So yeah. Basically, I just wanted to do a productivity stream, hang out, work on stuff. I do work this evening, so yeah, dropping things. So yeah, and I guess part of it is, of course, I've gone and left it somewhere. I think it's on the couch, as far as writing lasts. But like I said, I was inspired, so I went ahead and started making a list of projects and kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about them as video outlines and if anybody would be interested. So, yeah. So anyway, I'm doing well, and I'm here, and I'm alive and stuff. So, I don't know, this is kind of boring, but, basically, going back to Collegium. So Collegium was really great. Like I said, we got in kind of midday in the Tri-Cities. Thank you, Scott. It's nice to be streaming again. I'm alive. I'm here. And again, the procrastinating. So I've been trying to make a video, or I've been telling myself to make a video all week since getting back, but that didn't happen until today. So that's what I'm doing. This is a problem. Every time I stream, I pick this stupid thing up and play with it because it's like soft and textured and it's a good fidget, but it's maybe a little bit weird. Anyway, Collegium. So we didn't end up going to the event Friday night. Hi, Dale. Welcome to the stream. We didn't end up going to, or did we? Yeah, no, we said we weren't going to, and then we ended up going just to kind of scope things out. It was in a new location this year. So instead of being in the Pasco Red Lion, where literally every Tri-Cities convention and event is, in my experience, it's the same hotel as RadCon, Collegium. This year, 12th Night is being hosted there. It's like the big hotel in the Tri-Cities that all the cons get host at. But anyway, it's in a different one this year. Steven's parents live. Video you guys made. Oh, excellent. Well, that's lovely. There will theoretically be more of those, Dale. There'll be more sword videos. Like I was saying, I am switching my fighting style, sort of, slowly but surely, so that I can participate in the SCA with my friends and partner. So I am being forced to update all my gear because my previous fighting style, I don't, like I said, like I said in the last stream, I was having issues with YouTube not letting me upload long things, which is really annoying. So I had to pare down that video a lot, and I might even just see about, since I updated my YouTube app on my phone, it might let me upload the whole video. I'll do some small edits and just jump cut out the slow parts. But I'll try and upload the whole damn thing and see how that goes if you guys are interested. It's really old, but honestly I haven't been doing much practicing since then. But anyway, as I discussed in that video, if it got left in, my old style, or the old group I used to fight with, was called the Empire of Adria. And the group Chelo and I are in, the crew, we did study some longsword, but not formally, and we didn't know the names of things and stuff like that. So as I'm getting more into HEMA, I'm studying things more formally, and so I know the names of these positions and guards and movements and stuff like that, different attacks, which is nice. But we were fighting with Shinai, which are slatted bamboo weapons, which I don't have an example of. They are kendo swords? Kendo practice weapons, I want to say. But anyway, so they're round and they're slatted so that on impact they compress, sort of thing. And that was the light combat for Empire of Adria. Sorry, I'm in my sports bra from jogging this morning, and it's a little heavy duty, so I should go change, but I'm not gonna until I absolutely have to, because I'm lazy. Anyway, it was kendo swords, so they weren't Shinai, they weren't safe for thrusting, so that is a muscle memory thing I have to reteach myself to be able to thrust, because they weren't safe to do that with the previous weapons. And then none of my gear is sufficient. How lazy, just like me. Yeah, super lazy. None of my old gear is sufficient because we fight with... Oh, nice. See you later, Dale. Thanks for stopping by. Anyway, we just had to have 2 sweatshirts, and we did have to have a gorget and a fencing mask, but had none of the like glove requirements. I don't actually have a gorget of my own that's technically safe. I have a leather one, but it's lost all its hardening, and it's like, it got stored in a hot truck, and basically it got really floppy and sad because all the wax got melted out of it, which is super sexy. But anyway, so in May I bought myself a new gambeson because I was getting one for Stephen's birthday. Oh, gorget. So it's spelled gorget, which is throat and clavicle protection. In the SCA, generally, they just have throat protection. Yes, that's the proper spelling. So it's basically rigid protection for your larynx, which is a word I have a hard time saying. Larynx. So that, yeah, you were close at least. So basically I need rigid throat protection to go, so I have a gambeson, which is the padded jacket. It's basically a period fencing jacket. Yes. In fact, when I was sparring this spring with Stephen, I was wearing my old fencing mask that I had from the last time I was fighting, because it was actually technically borrowed. It's no longer safe, basically, we determined. Because we were sparring at fairly, like, gentle, but I got a good whack to the mask, and it twisted in such a way that it took my larynx with it, and it hurt and scared the crap out of me, and we both went, nope, nope, nobody, nope, 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 no longer safe to even, like, nope, just to protect the face, no. So got rid of that helmet. Actually, I still have it, but no longer using that helmet. Bought a new 3 weapons mask that's rated for the sort of steel combat we're going to be doing. Yeah, it was not fun. This is why you should wear your proper protection, ladies and gentlemen. And that's kind of proof. The proof is in the pudding. I've had too many friends, and obviously like that, where the scariest thing and the worst injuries are not caused by the actual fighting. They're caused by poor fitting or worn out equipment. I had a friend that got a very serious concussion because I don't remember if it was something was wrong with his helmet, his steel helmet, and my other friend concussed the crap out of him just in normal fighting. A blow that shouldn't have gotten to it, like something was wrong. The helmet had worn out, the padding was worn out, and yeah, it was not good. He got severely concussed because of his armor failure, because his helmet was old and is now retired. I think like a weld snapped or something, like there was a combination of things, like it had been repaired too many times, so the steel was weak, and the padding was off, and so it contacted skin where it should not have contacted skin, and just knocked him out. And that ruins everybody's day, because not only is someone injured, but you've injured them, and they're your friend. We don't actually like to genuinely injure our friends. So, yeah. So anyway, so I have a Gambeson because I imported one for Steven for his birthday, and in starting that process, I found out that, it would be the same amount of shipping to ship 2 of them, as one, importing it from Poland. And I would have to also, so I was originally planning to wait to get mine until later. This was his birthday present, and that was the whole point of it, not necessarily, hey, let's get Gambesons. But it would have been an additional $80 to ship them separately. So, I went ahead and bought mine at the same time, which was nice. So I have it. I've worn it a grand total of twice now since buying it in May. Good job, me. So yeah, I'm just down to, for mandatory protection, I need new gauntlets, and steel gorget. Because my elbow padding or my elbow protection works, and in fact fits under the Gambeson because they're in big ass dude sizes. Even a small is huge. So where my friends who have the same Gambeson just have it as all over padding, and then they have like elbows and shoulders and stuff on top of it, like an arming coat. I just have all my stuff underneath it, and it works fine. And it doesn't bind me up, which is really nice. It was really nice to actually get back into fighting this weekend. It was super fun. Saturday was when all the big panels were, and I learned some really cool stuff. My favorite was actually on the Langenberg bra, however the hell you pronounce it, which is the earliest archaeological discovery of actual structured bras and undergarments, which is really awesome. and they had like dedicated, like it's a bra, like so they have examples of like literally they're just called breast bands. So just literally a strip of fabric. They're like, oh, hold these suckers down. They're annoying me. But there's really for a long time there was a gap in the archaeological record. And then all of a sudden 1500s, early 1400s, or late 1400s, early 1500s, stays and corsets start appearing, and it's all shapewear basically, like we have today. So bras and stuff like that, for sucking your waist in and hold the boobs up, stuff like that. And it seemed as if it just like all of a sudden it appeared, and before and people postulated that before that it was just basically instead of having a bra and then a dress, or a bra and underwear and a dress sort of thing, like we would today, they just used, it's postulated that they just used their outer garments as support. So it's like expecting a t-shirt or this guy to act like a bra and a waist cincher, which, if you can imagine, wears your clothes out really fast. And so from a reenactor standpoint, it wears your clothes out really fast, and it doesn't make sense. So it was only in 2008, I want to say, that a couple of these bras were found in the same midden pile. So basically a medieval sewer / compost heap. So that was where all your garbage went. That's where they'd muck out, the stables and people poop and stuff like that out of castles, stuff like that. So yeah, that's where your trash goes. And they were just made out of linen, which is a cellulosic fiber, so it breaks down really fast. So it's it makes sense that we haven't found them before, because like the example she gave was even when you're done wearing clothes and you want to, for instance, donate them, you don't donate your underwear. You don't buy used underwear from Goodwill, sort of thing. So you would just throw it away, just trash it, which is what they did. So if it's just your underwear and you wear it till it's totally worn out, and then you just toss it in the trash heap, essentially. But because, like I said, it's basically a compost heap / garbage / sewer, stuff breaks down. Compost heap. So it's like throwing away any other plant material. Linen breaks down, and that's why we have a hard time reconstructing a lot of garments from history, because silk breaks down really fast. Like human sweat eats silk. So linen breaks down really fast if it's been buried, like burial stuff. Wool is better. That's why we have a lot of stuff from, or the stuff that we have from Vikings and that sort of period and beyond, is wool, or really fancy brocades that were put in catacombs, sort of thing. That's not the word I'm looking for, but basically not buried in dirt, because when you bury things in dirt, it breaks down, it gets eaten, it rots, because it's plant. Or silk especially is pretty easily well preserved in catacombs and that sort of sealed environment, more dry. Anyway, so that was my cool highlight. Was not only did I find out this really cool research about this bra, but then she also did a workshop on how to pattern one for yourself, which is really cool. It's especially cool because for us, and archaeologically speaking, is really recent. So it was found in 2008. They didn't start studying it until 2012, and they're just now starting to publish things about it. So it's not like a lot of the garments even from that period where we have books where somebody's gone to the museum that has it, and like looked through it and handled it and drew a pattern off of it and then put it in their book and sold it, and just like boom, it's widely available. Good luck. That's not a thing yet for this particular garment. Online, there are a couple of people that have like seen photographs and notes and were like, I think I can figure it out from there. So that's pretty cool. So that's a project I'm going to be doing. Maybe a little risque for YouTube. We'll see. That is an eventual goal. Do period undergarments for my early stuff. Too hot for YouTube. 14th century bra. 13th century bra. I don't know. I'd have to look up exactly when it's from. But anyway. Yeah, so then Saturday night we all went back to Steven's parents' place, and they have a giant jacuzzi, so we got all roasty toasty in there. It was super nice. Also, a couple of friends came back with us, and we ended up doing one of the panels I did in the afternoon, or we did in the afternoon, was some longsword drilling. And it basically just went over stuff I already knew. But if it was, like at any other convention, usually it's like, here's a little taste to pique your interest, and we were just like, cool, this is stuff we already know. But it was good to drill because we brought our own long swords and we practiced, and it was good. And that kind of lit the fire in our bellies to go home and do some more. So we did some sparring. I suited up because I brought my gambeson and stuff, which was smart. We suited up and did some drilling and some sparring with the long swords, and also Nick, one of our friends, who we're slowly bringing to the dark side of longsword and cut and thrust rather than SEA heavy. Hi, kitty. Can I help you? Little ears. He and I ended up, another friend, Wolfric, actually, you guys have met Wolfric, brought his boffer weapons. So, he and his dad constructed them so that they're not like the classic, like, perfectly round pool noodles. They're actually, what does Steven call them? They're dilly bars. He calls them dilly bars. So they're basically like fudgesicles that you hit each other with. That's the sort of shape. So it's like that big and it's foam, but it is sword shaped, and they're the appropriate dimensions for long swords and a couple of bastard swords and daggers, stuff like that. But basically, it allowed us to spar and drill and work on technique without having to wear all our crap, because we only ended up having 2 actual long swords to spar with, and there were 4 of us. So, and we did some silly things that you couldn't do otherwise. Like in Italian longsword, there is an attack where you basically you realize, I'm not gonna win this, so you literally just huck your sword at the other person's face. And my friend Nick did that and hit me in the face with, luckily, the foam sword. It was pretty classic. It was pretty great. It was hilarious. So yeah, we got to do silly things like that. Boffer combat. Yeah, Boffer combat's super fun. And you can be silly. Like I said, we were doing actual like historical fighting styles, but with buffers, because it was low impact, it was light, it was fun. Like I said, we were able to do those sorts of things that you would do with a regular sword, but without masks on, and having fun, and actually hitting each other in the face and wherever, and not worrying about hurting each other, other than breaking noses, which is totally possible. But anyway, so that was fun. And then Sunday was a big practice. Basically, everybody that showed up to Collegium. There were a couple different panels that were longer workshops. That there was one from like 9 to noon. There's like one in each category, or one in like I think there were 3 or 4 panels total that morning. Like one was glove making, but the other really cool thing about Collegium is that they give you a thumb drive of all of your handouts for all of the classes, because they know you'll never get to go to all the things you want to go to, so you can have the handouts from the things. Okay. But anyway, I looked at the handout and I was like, meh, I'm not going to learn very much from this. I'd rather go fight. So I got to attend my first official cut and thrust practice with people from all over our kingdom. And like I said, Friday night is when I got to sit in on a panel and met a couple of new friends, one of which was a lady who also has a, hey, can you not bite me? 15th, 16th century German Landsknecht persona, and she fights cut and thrust with longsword, so that's really fun. And we became friends, and so therefore on Sunday she let me borrow some of her extra stuff, which was nice. So I got to be safe and officially allowed to fight in the practice because I had her gorget and her gloves. But fighting in her style of gloves taught me that definitely don't want that style of gloves, because they have plates, and in fact she had plates all the way down to here. So there was a cuff with slats of plates on the inside of the leather glove. And there are a couple of outer plates, like a big one over the knuckles and over the thumb and stuff. And again over these knuckles, but then the rest of them were inside a layer of leather inside the glove. And it's all articulated. But there's nothing on the palm of your hand, and I got a good thwack to the inside of my thumb. I'm like, nope, not doing that ever again. So I determined that I do. There's some gauntlets online that are just called sparring gloves. I think the website's even just like sparringgloves.com or something like that. But it's yet another, can you not, Polish brand of HEMA/SCA fighting gear. So they'll be a bit of a while to order them, but I think that's my next purchase. So that's fun. Anyway, so yeah, that's my day. And then, or that was my weekend, and then Monday ended up being a bunch of car trouble and brakes that needed fixed, and Stephen got his snow tires put on because we were at his parents' house, and that's where his snow tires live. And then just coming home and doing the big, I was gonna say spring cleaning, but the opposite. Cleaning everything so that it can go into storage until our next event, which we have determined, if I get the time off, which I have already requested, because it's during our busy season at my job. Our next event is 12th Night. 12th Night in Waste Keep. So again, it's going to be in the Tri-Cities, so that'll be nice. So my initial goal, depending on bills, rent. How did I originally get into medieval combat? Hi Dale, nice to have you back. How did I originally get into medieval combat? Wulfric. So basically, I've always had a love of older style, or historical clothing. Like when I was super little, I'd watch Black Beauty and be like obsessed with the Victorian, like riding habits and like fox hunting, and the clothing was just super cool. And therefore I kind of got into cosplay a little bit. And that friend group that I kind of started to develop in college when I moved to Moscow to go to the University of Idaho. That kind of friend group developed where I ended up living in a big house with Rolfrick's girlfriend and several friends that it kind of started with SteamCon and going to steampunk conventions together. And I developed a relationship, or a friendship, brain, a friendship with Connor Wolfrick, and also I was interested in taking fencing classes at U of I because I took archery classes. So basically Connor and I actually met when I was 16. I went up for Pride. I went up to Moscow for Pride because that was the closest local Pride. Was like an hour away from my hometown. So we'd known each other off and on as teenagers, and then he's like, "Hey, you want to fight?" Hell yeah, I want to learn to fight. So through him, I was introduced to Chelo and the whole crew, and I was super dedicated, and I kicked butt. And in fact, some rather petty friends who were living with me at the time, we were all living in a house together, got really pissed off and petty and bitchy because I was practicing 4 or 5 times a week. And it was like, "Oh, you always drill her and you always help her with stuff." I'm like, "Because she asks." And it's like, "Hey, let's go fight. Hey, let's go fight. Hey, teach her this thing. Let's go fight." So we did. And he's like, "That's all you have to do is ask. Hey, can you drill me on XYZ? Hey, can we practice tomorrow?" So I got super into that. Became super good friends with everybody, and ended up joining the crew. And yeah, I was an official member of the crew as of 2012, and started making costumes for people, and that's how I really got into the whole medieval reenactment part of it, and the fighting and the longsword and stuff like that. And that's how I developed my first persona, who I still have the name of, but I don't fight in that style anymore. So, I don't know. My chain halberd feels a little bit useless, but that's okay. Yeah, because I don't do sword and board with Viking stuff anymore, but I could, I suppose, if I wanted to. But I just really like longsword. So, did that answer any of your questions? That's how I got started. Yeah, but I only started doing HEMA this year. Basically, how I got back into it this year, or I guess a year ago, basically around about this time, is through Steve. Melee Championship, since it's nice. Cool. I assume you guys use buffer weapons for your melee for Nerf. That's my experience thus far. That's the other thing. I did Humans vs. Zombies and with the crew, and we did. That's how I got into nerfing and all that jazz. But anyway, I was in a really terrible living situation. Basically, not this year, last year, for a couple of years, I got really disconnected from all of my friends because of very unhealthy, unsafe living environment caused by my family. And I kind of hit rock bottom the end of last summer. So I ended up, because I lost one job and I got another one, and then that made it so, and then I got evicted because of my roommate not paying her rent for 8 months. That was fun. So I had temporary place to stay for a couple of months until somebody else's lease got up, and then I was shit out of luck and out of money because said roommate, and I had to at least pay part rent to her, and or for it to cover her, so that I didn't get sued. So that was fun. But anyway, therefore, I was staying at my sister's house, which was a glorified wooden tent, because they had the house under construction, but went beyond their means, so tore things apart without having the money to put them back together. So there was no indoor plumbing, barely any electricity, no heat. There was a wood fireplace, but they had refused to go and get firewood all summer. So that was fun. So that was pretty freaking miserable. And then mid-October, I re-met Steven and kind of just reconnected with Connor and started talking to him, and I had started basically on weekends coming up here to hang out with them, so that I could A, have positive interaction with humans, B, I could have food, because at that point I was basically living out of my car. I had a 45-minute commute to my job, which is where I showered and could use real bathroom facilities. It was an evening job, so I basically only ate at night, and I ate McDonald's on my way home, and I slept at my sister's place, and then I went back into town until work, and then I showered at work, that sort of thing. But anyway, so that was rock bottom. And then I started hanging out with my friends again, basically, hanging out with Connor, and then I connected with Steven, because we'd known each other for a couple years. But basically, I lost my job in December. That I had been basically staying up here every weekend for a couple of months. Any chance I got, really. And Steven offered me a place to stay, because at that point my sister had also canceled our internet access, and I had no phone service, so I couldn't look for a new job when I got laid off December 1st. So Steven offered me a place to stay, so I moved up here. It was more complicated than that, but anyway. And he's in the SCA, and Connor's in the SCA, and they do HEMA and stuff like that, and so that's how I got back into it, was friends and being happy again and being healthy again and living in a real house. So anyway, back to your last question, which was a while ago. I needed to finish that story because I'm trying to not be tangential. The SCA does sword and board, so sword and shield, and they're heavy. I honestly don't know enough about cut and thrust. I think a lot of what people are doing in cut and thrust it's mostly people who normally fence and fight with rapiers, just upgrading their equipment just a little bit, so that they are legal for cut and thrust. So mostly people with, they get heavier sabers, stuff like that, or heavy sabers that weren't technically legal in rapier. So I don't know. I have a lot of friends who are getting into sword and buckler, and that, again, I think think Hema might do some sword and buckler. I'm not sure. I think Messer, work with Messer and Langus Messer and that sort of thing does allow for buckler use. So a small shield, basically just like a punch-sized shield. And a lot of the movements and things, so it's a one-handed sword, shorter one-handed sword, and then a buckler, but you use them in conjunction, similar to how you use both hands with a longsword. So, honestly, I have not gotten into Hema enough to answer that question properly. But anyway, any other questions now that I'm super long-winded and awful? I just realized I'm a terrible, like, floating head. Let me see. Well, that's a little bit better. So much for being a productivity stream. Not terribly productive. Let's see. Oops, sorry. What's going on? But anyway. I guess I will talk about what's coming next. So next is the holidays, which might bring a hiatus. Ha ha ha, very funny. You have to actually post things in order to have hiatuses. But anyway, is it the proper plural of hiatus? I don't know. What's next as far as events go, the next thing is 12th night. So, kind of my mental goal is to have more of my own safe cut and thrust gear, because there's no heavy at 12th night, but there is rapier and cut and thrust. So I would like to have that. Oh, I was super inspired to make basically fighting garb. So I'll make garments or disguise my modern equipment, my modern fighting equipment, to make it look period. So yeah. What would you like to see? My fighting gear? Or what? My garb? My plans for fighting gear? Gosh. You can't just say, yeah, I gave you several options. Most of my gear is in the trunk. Gear trunk, which is maybe in the back bedroom. I think it's in the. It might be in the car. The stuff I've been working on and the plans. Okay. Things I'm currently working on. A commission. Hi, kitty. Yeah, you're gonna panic. Can you move? So stuff I've been working on are a German shirt, which I posted on my Instagram ages ago. That's how slow and how busy and crazy it's been lately. So, so this is called smocking, this is the collar of a shirt. This amount of fabric goes into this tiny neckline. Because they're basically huge rectangles that you gather, and then you embroider on the outside to make it all stay and be pretty. And then you line it on the inside so that it's structured. And then the cuffs have what's called honeycomb smocking. And that actually allows for quite a bit of stretch, which is really cool. which I hadn't really, like, I've done some honeycomb smocking, but it was on a little apron, so I didn't really notice the stretch, but on a cuff, it's actually really handy. So that's cool. So that's a commission that I'm working on. Story of my life, did not charge enough for it. And then to go with that are a pair of pants. Which have some slashing in. So one leg has this small slashing. These are the colors that she requested. So small slashing, and then the other side has one big slash out of it. And I had to come up with a way of making a lady's codpiece, so we'll see how that goes, how that actually works. So yeah, so I need to, next steps on this guy are to finish putting in all the places where we can lace it up in the front and lace up the codpiece, and then just finish the ends. And the shirt is getting some gussets in the armpits so that you can actually move your arms and not have it straight. So yeah. So that's what I'm working on. Plans is the other thing. So here are my very lofty goals. I don't have a pen, but that's okay. My lofty goals. So 12th night is in January, the 12th through the 14th, in the Tri-Cities. And I've just got basically a list of things that I need to do. So I've got some kind of housekeeping sort of things, like I need to punch some holes in my garb shoes. Oh, that's another thing. What do you guys think? Should I don't purchase many things, but when I do purchase like recreation sort of things, do you think I would? Obviously, you guys aren't really like recreators thus far. Those who show up to the live streams anyway. But should I post reviews on things? Is that an option, or is that like, do you think people would be actually interested in that? I don't know. Leave it in the comments down below. See what you think. So I bought some shoes and I bought some pattens, which are shoes for your shoes, which I can explain later. Actually, do you want to hear about the reviews of products as it applies to them? For instance, I bought these shoes, which are lovely. And I fought in them, which was nice. They're worn in. I definitely want to get some grippy soles put on, because I have already beaten the crap out of them, which is nice. So they're not so slick. So it's like kind of like ballet shoes, where you have to kind of rough them up in order to use them nicely, effectively, because it was this really slick surface before. But there is an option of putting. They look really uncomfortable. Well, I do have these guys put in them. Because I have plantar fasciitis, so I need extra squish. And then that gives me more arch support than is built into the shoe. So they're called cow mouth shoes. And I have found thus far that because I have quite a pointy foot, that I was more comfortable when I stuffed one of the corners with wool, basically, to make it conform to my shape, because I don't have short, wide feet. Some people do have like short, wide toes, and it's perfectly acceptable. Not for me. I need a little bit of filling in the corner. But yeah, so those are my shoes that I bought. That I will eventually do a review on. The shoes are just about ready for a review. But I think I want to do some more futzing with the patterns or trippen that I also bought from that same company, maker, artisan. So, sorry. Yeah, okay. So, the English call them patterns. No, this is actually an American guy. He's from like Arizona, I want to say. And he has the option on a lot of his stuff to put like Vibram soles on things, which is pretty stinking cool. So you can have modern soles on your shoes, on your period shoes. So okay, so like I said, this is the left foot, but it's a shoe for your shoes. So like I said, they're called patins, or the British call them, or the Germans call them Trippen. So they're similar to some Japanese shoes, older shoes, or traditional. I think that people still wear them, where they have that little flat platform and then that little extra little like little feet like a table, front and back. They had those too, or they have these that are taller with some arch. Basically, this is a block of wood that you've chopped so that it hinges, and then a very little bit of leather that you could literally make out of scraps. This keeps you up out of the mud by 2 inches, inch and a half. And you can basically make it out of scraps. This is not a super complicated shape to craft out of wood. It's small. It's the size of your foot. That's not going to be a ton of work or a ton of material. As opposed to the skill and expense and labor that goes into making a shoe like this guy. It keeps it from damaging the leather. It keeps you up out of the mud or poop. Let's be real. I wouldn't necessarily be walking in a lot of streets for my persona. A lot of it's being out on campaign. But in cities, it was a big problem. There was horse poop and human poop all over the streets. So, ick. So yeah, platform shoes. This is basically where platform shoes come from. Is putting platforms on your shoes. So, yeah, it keeps you out of the snow, out of the mud. I think if I do some winter events, I will either do this to these ones or make some more, because now that I know how to make them, I have the leather know-how, and I have friends with woodworking tools. I will make myself some more, and I think I will hobnail them, because they are slick. These, especially because they're brand new, are slick as snot on wet grass, which is no fun. Especially now that some of my events that used to be in the summer are now in, used to be the spring and summer, are now in the fall when there's a lot of dew. Or they're in parks, fancy parks that water the crap out of their lawns. So first thing in the morning, your feet get soaking wet. And then these very lovely smooth wood turns into ice skates, basically. But yeah, so that's those. So goals are now that I've mostly broken these shoes in, I need to punch some more holes. Punch some more holes on this strap. Punch some more holes in these straps. That sort of thing. That's one of my goals. And then I need to make myself some stockings. which is definitely a video I'm going to be doing, making stockings. Oh, I made a hood, which, where did I put it? I made Steven, actually, bastard, I made myself a hood, that's kind of more his period, but I just wanted to do it because I finally found, something to do with this particular piece of wool fabric. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that with it, that works. So I made a hood. Which makes me look like some sort of, I don't know, not Final Fantasy. Kind of Final Fantasy-esque. Anyway, I made it with a silly long point because I could, and that was the most efficient use of the fabric. Is rather than have weird little scraps, might as well work it into the hood. But this weekend, Steven wore this like a jerk. He stole my stuff. Anyway, so I have a brown wool cloak that I got from the gnome, actually, so Chaylo's mom, that needs to be reworked to get it to fit me a little better because I'm a very small person. It just needs to be reworked in general. Like, I don't like the style of the tie at the neck. Just the particular cord that was used is really pretty, but is not terribly functional, and I find it is really slippery, and so it like slowly unties, which is annoying. So it has to die. But it doesn't have a hood, so but it is brown wool. It's a lighter brown than this, but I figured it would coordinate well. So this is a hood or a mantle or a chaperone. It shouldn't be coming to a point like that. Like I said, I just barely got it done before we went, but it's got some little extra gussets there to make the shape. But for Steven's period, basically you just layer things. So you need a cloak, but not necessarily a mantle or a hood. So you would layer things. So this would actually keep me warmer and more dry than just a cloak, especially paired with a cloak that's just over your shoulders and long. Because then you have double protection over your shoulders and a hood, and over your chest to keep you warm and dry. So this goes on top of the cloak. Sorry. So yeah, so if you think about like Harry Dresden or a lot of cowboy movies will have those dusters, right? Where they have kind of like basically, or greatcoats too, later period, like Victorian greatcoats that have, you know, your jacket and then seemingly like a little extra mantle. Basically, or like roofing shingles. So the cloak would just, my cloak is just around the neckline and then it ties. Like a poncho. Yes, it's just like a poncho. So so this cloak would be like a regular jacket with that would just have a neckline. So if I put the cloak over the top of this, it wouldn't keep the rain out because we would have seen, like I said, like shingles. On a roof, you want the rain to slick off of this rather than having a gap, or if the rain comes down here and then soaks into here, like between the two sort of thing. You want it like shingles, you want it underneath. So this wicks it off, and then the rest of it keeps me warm. Keeps the wind out too. There's no gappage. It's overlapping rather than having a gap. So yeah, so I made a cloak. It's super thick blanket wool, and therefore it's itchy on my bare skin, so I'm taking it off. So that's a thing that I made this weekend, or for this weekend, that I didn't talk about because I was panicking and trying to get Steven's shirt fixed, which I did, by the way, in still a little bit tight in his armpits, but that's fixable. So yeah, I'm gonna fix my cloak. I'm gonna make myself stockings. I need to make Steven a hood so that he stops stealing mine, so we can both have them. Hi, kitty. That's a goal. And then I want to make clothing to basically masquerade my fighting clothes as period clothes. So, basically I want to make a dickie instead of a full hemped. I basically want to make a dickie that is, basically just this part of this hemped to go over, but big enough to go over the top of my gambeson, which is quite thick, to disguise it. So it'll be nice and high like this guy. Go over the gambeson. So I'd have gorget, which is rigid, gambeson, which is padding, and then cloth over the top of that. And then make a dress that's going to be the right size to, again, go over the top of my gambeson. So that'll be fun. And then stockings big enough that I can hide my shin protection, knee guards, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and do thigh and hip protection in the form of hockey shorts, because I have a couple of friends, a couple of people. I know of a couple of people who do that for their knee or their thigh and hip protection, rather than the super ugly SCA legs, which are just leather, maybe leather and some steel or leather and some padding. What material do I make stockings out of? I think my stockings are gonna be linen, but I need to, I will do a stocking video. And I think I'm gonna show you guys both linen and wool. So, yeah, that'll be fun. Anyway, it is probably just about time for me to hop off of here and go make some lunch and then get ready for work. So, any other questions before I go? And suggestions for video ideas would be nice. Like I said, I want to do a video with stockings. I did say lunch. It is 2:26 over here, so yes, I need lunch. I want to do stockings, but I kind of also just want to take you guys through what I would do from the beginning. Oh, 4:26. Yeah, I work at 5, so I need to do lunch and pack and stuff, and get cleaned up and do makeup, and because when you work at a bridal shop, you have to conform to the whole full face of makeup and chipper, well dressed and stuff. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. It's my favorite. Anyway, I have a hard time. And a whole armor video. Cat, can you not? So like where my gear currently is, kind of like Chelo's original, like this is my setup. What did you call it? My loadout. It's full loadout. But for my cut and thrust gear. Yeah, that? Okay. I'll do that. I might do. Oh, my other thought was I kind of want to do Vlogmas. Even though I'm terrible at vlogging, I feel like a video every day sort of thing would force me to be more productive and force me to learn how to film myself, learn how to, hey, get your camera out, this is what we're doing today, sort of deal. I just wanted to see if maybe that was a thing, but I don't know. Only a couple of you guys consistently watch my videos right now, but it's because there haven't been that many and they're not terribly interesting yet. But cool. That sounds like a good idea. Especially since I won't be doing much working in December because that is a super duper slow month for bridal industry. And then January hits and then it's psychotically busy. So that's fun. Anyway, I think it's lunchtime, so I'm going to bugger off now. You work on your Patreon. I have not. I will go look at it. That's a good question. I do have a Patreon. I'm not sure. I think it's under Seamstress at Arms. But I certainly don't have any content yet. So I didn't get a chance to look at that. I did look into Twitch a little bit, but then I had other crap to do before getting ready. So, I did sign up for Twitch. We shall see about uploading things on there and doing live streams on there. But yeah, I'm working on Patreon. In fact, I will do that while I'm making lunch. I'll look into that some more. Like I said, I think several months ago I signed up for it and started doing things, and then life fell apart again. So, yeah. Sure. I will do that. I'll edit this video description. I will post. In fact, I should have done that last time. Post my Instagram and Etsy shop and Twitch if I can, and Patreon if it is already live. I will go ahead and do that. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Like I said, post in the comments things you'd like to see. You're not bothering me. You showed up to my live stream. That's the whole point. But thanks. Like I said, I will try and post those links ASAP. And yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys would like to see more of. What do you think about my idea for reviews, and what project would you like to see? Like, would you like to see how I made that shirt?